for most of us, we all grew up maybe in a different era. When it comes to our childhoods, there are different eras represented in the room today. Now, I grew up late 70s, primarily in the 80s was my childhood. Any other 1980s kids here? Anybody else in here grew up in the 80s? Yes. And so, man, life was different in the 80s. I don't know what it was like in your era, but I know what it was like growing up in the 80s. And I look at Spotify and iTunes now and how easy it is to make a playlist. And if you're wanting to win the heart of another one, you can just drop, hey, I made you a little playlist and drop it. It wasn't like that when we grew up. How many of y'all know the struggle of spending all night making one of these? Yeah. If you don't know what this is, Google mixtape, and this will blow your mind. We had these massive boom boxes that had 2 different areas where a tape would go in, and you don't know the struggle of having to press play, pause, record, and play at the same time in order to make a mixtape. And you didn't just slide into somebody's DMs, you slid next to their locker and you handed them that mixtape, you know. Made that for you, baby. And we didn't text either. Y'all had no idea. If you grew up in the 80s, you knew your way. You were an origami specialist. You'd write, you know what I'm talking about? You'd write those notes and you'd fold those handwritten notes and you'd fold that thing into a swan. There was this one little tab. You'd pull it, boom, 7 pages of love note written to you. And I found, this is hilarious, I found some true love notes from elementary and middle schoolers. I got to show you this. These are so good. So this is the heartbeat of love when you're a kid. But are you ready to be there when I'm mad or need to cry and I cannot do things that I can't do without anyone else but you? Yes, I'm ready, unless I'm eating fried chicken. My man. So she says, chicken's more important than me. Only fried chicken. And only when I'm hungry. But if I'm not, then you're the only thing I care about, baby. Look, I'm for you and I'm with you. But if I got a plate of fried chicken. Jay Fennell wrote that to Aaron, if y'all don't know that. I love this. I am angry at you and I am not talking to you today or tomorrow. P.S. all day. P.P.S. I still love you though. Oh, let's look at the next one here. Oh, how many of y'all, show of hands, remember the check yes or no boxes? Yeah. Dear Ashley, would you please be my girlfriend? I like you a lot. Yes, no, maybe. She marked no. P.S. Look at what she said. I love this. I'm sorry, I already have a boyfriend, Kyle. Kyle. But look at her response. When we break up, you're my next choice. P.S. That'll probably be in a month or 2, so you just hang out on the playground. When I'm done with Kyle, I'm gonna find you in about 2 months. That's hilarious. This was funny. I love it. I love it. Aaron, I think I love you, but I also might love another girl, just so you know. Her name is Tara. So you be on the lookout for Tara, because if you see Tara, you need to know it could go either way. Now, this last one, everybody's gonna feel this one. I'm sorry that I've been chasing you outside. If you will start to like me, I won't chase you. Oh, man, if you'll just settle down and realize I'm your man, I'll stop running after you, chasing you around the playground. Oh, man. Listen, it wasn't all fun and games in the 80s, though. It was dangerous. Dangerous in the 80s. Some of y'all, how many of y'all remember these playground slides we grew up with? Y'all remember those? Man, yeah. If you didn't die from the fall, it was 3rd-degree burns all the way down. Those things were crazy. My family and I just took a road trip, but we didn't take a road trip like I did when I was kids. Y'all remember road trips in the back? Yeah, man, no seat belts riding in the back. That was road trips at its finest in the 1980s. Listen. As a child of the 80s, I have no idea how we survived the 80s. You know what I do? I know. This was the secret sauce right here. Y'all remember that? Woo! Boy, take your vitamins. I already did. I had 6. It was sugar and a tad of vitamin C. That's all that was. Oh, man, it's such a different era than we grew up in. In the 80s, man, they were great. And as kids in relationships, we didn't know what we were doing. We had no idea what we were doing, had no idea how to go about relationships. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know. The problem is we keep making the same mistakes we did on the playground. We haven't grown, we haven't developed, and we haven't matured. And we just keep making the same mistakes we did when we were kids. And so as we begin a 3-week series called My Real Family, we're going to talk about healthy relationships. And so whether you're a teenager or a kid or been married 50 years, lean in. Because today, I'm going to spend the majority of my time creating a problem and show us where we just keep going wrong in our relationships. That's today. Next week, we're going to talk about the one thing that might transform every relationship you're in, and it's the power of forgiveness. That's next week. And then the third week, we're going to talk about how to really mess up your kids. So you don't want to miss that. So 3 weeks, it's all about relationships. This is, if you've been wondering, man, do I invite my friend? Do I invite my neighbor? This is the chance. Everybody is in a relationship. Most of us in Nolensville, Smyrna, Murfreesboro, College Grove, most of us are raising kids or have grandkids. You need to have them here for this series. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. So Jesus, today, the way you loved us is the way we're supposed to love others. And the Bible says that we were your enemies when you came after us. We were unworthy, unwilling, unruly. And you grabbed us and you loved us. And so would you help us today to love others? Not out of any sort of expectation, but just out of a responsibility to model you. In Jesus' name. And everybody said? All right, so today, as we talk about relationships, really what I want to do is just show us where we're going wrong. And so many of us don't realize, but our problems began long before we were married or in a relationship. And for most of us, we entered into relationships with the wrong premise, and we approach relationships with the wrong idea. And basically, there are 3 wrong perspectives that we approach relationships with, specifically marriage. And number 1, the wrong perspective is that, man, I'm just looking for the right person. And I know you're looking at your spouse right now. He don't know you, baby. He doesn't know you. Yes, I do. You don't need to look for the right person. Here's why. Because what we believe is, man, if I can just find the right person, everything's going to be all right. They're going to know me. They're going to understand me. They're going to get me. They'll finish my sentences. They will complete me, a la Jerry Maguire. No, they won't. And we get this idea that if I just find the right person, then they're going to fix me. And when they don't, we think we have marriage problems. Marriage problems. You know what marriage problems really are? Marriage problems are when you have to share a tube of toothpaste. And one person likes to neatly roll it from the bottom and the other person squeezes it in the middle. You know what I'm talking about? How many middle squeezers we got in here? Sinners, roll that thing from the bottom. What side of the bed do you sleep on? Who's going to drive? Those are marriage problems. Where are we going to eat tonight? Where you want to eat? I don't know. I don't care. Where are we going to eat? I don't know. I don't care. Where you want to eat? I don't. Yes, you do care. That's marriage problems. The problems that you think are marriage problems aren't marriage problems. They're single people problems. And you brought your single people problems into a marriage. And one of your single people problems is you think the right person's going to fix you. But you had your problems long before you had your spouse, and you think your spouse is going to fix your problems. You get married, they don't fix it, And now you have two people expecting the other person to fix them. It's because you had a failed expectation. Number one is, I just got to find the right person. Failed expectation number two, I'm just looking for chemistry and passion. And we all want that. And all the great songs that have ever been written are about chemistry and passion. Every Jennifer Aniston movie ever made is about chemistry and passion. The problem is that's all about a feeling, and psychologists tell us that feeling lasts about 6 weeks to 18 months. 6 weeks to 18 months is the height of chemistry and passion. No, you don't know my guy. You don't know who I'm with. He's going to treat me different than every other girl. He's going to take care of me like he's going to do way different with me. How long you been together? 3 months? All right, we'll talk later. See, we meet someone, I love the way they make me feel. And if chemistry and passion is all you're looking for, then when they don't make you feel that way, then all of a sudden they're not the one anymore. And chemistry, it can happen in a minute with just about anyone. But commitment takes a lot of work. But we're just looking for chemistry and passion. Not only that, wrong premise number 3, I'm looking for love. Every marriage counseling session I've been in, we have a required 6-week class. We sit couples down. Why do you want to marry this person? Because I love them and they love me. Bad answer. Because every marriage that's ever failed at one point was married for love. You're going to have to give me something more than that. The problem is you think love is emotive, weak in the knees and heart palpitations and a drop in serotonin. And when you're all dating, you stay up 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. You still awake? Yeah. You still awake? Yeah. Love's not a feeling. When you first meet, your brain is pumping out so much serotonin, you can't help but be happy. Feels great. But then the feeling fades and you think you fell out of love. But love was never supposed to be an emotion. God wants something so much deeper and so much greater for your relationships. And so for those of you who are yet to be married, if you want a failed formula, here it is. Look for the right person, look for chemistry and passion, and then look for love. It's not going to work. It's not what you think it is. And the reality is, here's why. One preacher, he described it this way, and I'll share it with you. He says, we all come to a relationship, and we all have a very particular set of hopes, dreams, and desires. And when you're early and you're young, they're kind of ill-defined. But as you get older, you begin to understand, this is what's in my box. I know what's in my box, and I know what I'm looking for in another person. This is my box. When you get married, you know what's in your box, and you should know what's in your spouse's box. And if you don't, that's part of the problem. And your hopes, your dreams, and your desires, your whole life are really, really easy to carry. And inside our box, we have several different things. I mean, we have, what are we going to do about money? I'll work, you stay home. No, you work, I'll stay home. No, let's be dual incomes. Let's work really, really, really long hours and let's retire. You have hopes, dreams, and desires as it relates to money. What are we going to do about chores? Well, you do all the chores and I will tell you I love you, or we'll divide it, or we'll do it this way. This is how my family did it, but these are my expectations, my hopes, my dreams, my desires. You approach it with hey, this is the kind of house I want to live in. I want to be rural. I want to be in the city. I want to live close to my family. I want to have this sort of house. We've got to have a big porch. Got to be we got to hopes, dreams, and desires around our house. Well, what kind of car am I going to drive? Well, listen. I've always wanted a sports car. Well, we have 7 kids. Well, you drive the van, I'll drive the car. Why do I have to sell my car? Why, we have hopes, dreams, and desires. And then what are we going to do about kids? Well, if you were an only child, you're like, I don't know that we want to have, just one, so let's have 2. Well, if they're both girls, then let's try for a boy. Well, then why not just go for a whole basketball? Let's just keep going, And then we have hopes, dreams, and desires around our schedule and our calendar. And you may say this, oh, look, I love you so much. Look, my family will take 3 holidays. Your family can have the rest. We'll just take, Christmas, Easter, and Thanksgiving. We'll take those. You can have Groundhog Day and, solstice of the moon day and Halloween. And you can have the rest. But we'll take those, How are we going to deal with conflict? Well, in my family, we didn't say everything that was true. We just made sure what we did say was true. We don't raise our voice. No. In my family, we just aired it all out, got it anyway out. No, it's not. This is how you do conflict. And then, man, what are we going to do about church? And, that's going to determine where we live, and that's going to determine where we plant roots. And we have hopes, dreams, and desires. And you've had these your life, and they're really easy to carry, and you've had them, and you don't understand why you can't just take yours and you can't just place them on somebody else and then be just as easy for them to carry because you've carried them your whole life. See, here's the problem. Every time you place one of these on someone else, it doesn't feel like hopes, dreams, and desires. It feels like a weight and an expectation. I don't know, I've been carrying it my whole life. And so why not just place that in there? Well, it doesn't feel like that to them. It feels like a weight, like an expectation. And so you've got a simple list in your mind, but it's not that simple in your relationship because everyone that you bring to the table brings one more expectation. And with every expectation you bring one more weight that you're asking that person to carry. And so I don't understand why it's so hard for you to make me happy. I've had these my whole life. Well, when you add them to their life, everyone you add is one more weight. And your box was always easy to carry. But this one, it's not that easy. And you see, we think, no, you don't understand. I said yes to you because I wanted all of this. I thought you were the right person. I felt chemistry and passion. I thought we were in love, and I thought you were going to do all this for me. This is what the future is supposed to be like. I need you to be this for me. And so we take our box, and we hand it to someone else, and we say, here, be Jesus for me. Meet all of my needs, meet all of my desires, meet all of my hopes, meet all of my dreams. Do that for me. And you place a burden on someone, you put a weight on them they can never carry. Now, I could pick it up, put it down, but I can't carry that every day of my life. See, the problem is we begin with my hopes, my dreams, and my desires. And the reason why that doesn't work because it's all about what I want and what my needs are. Why shouldn't I be happy? And why shouldn't some of my needs be met? The problem is when all you think about is I and my, if you do think about you and your, all you're thinking about is what you're not doing and what your failures are. What you didn't do and where your shortcomings are. Where you've stopped doing what you used to do. You used to carry that. Well, yeah, I'm worn out now. I can't carry it anymore. Where you're just not strong enough, or maybe you're not the one really then to meet my hopes, my dreams, and my desires. And so here's what we do. After a certain period of time, they're not carrying it anymore. We pick up our box, we leave, and we give it to someone else and say, maybe you're the one to carry it. Why don't you carry all my hopes? Why don't you carry all my dreams? Why don't you carry all my desires? Because the other person couldn't. And you bring the same failed formula into a new relationship. We keep making the same mistakes we did when we were young. You can't just bring your hopes and your dreams and your desires into a relationship. That's expectation and that's weight. But my marriage, listen, write this down, will go beyond my imagination when I focus on my responsibilities rather than my expectations. What am I called to do? What does Jesus want of me? What does that other person need of me? It's my responsibilities and not my expectations. We have to move out of the place where, man, they're not meeting my needs, and this needs to be different. Have you ever read the scripture that says you reap what you sow? Have you ever read that? We can't sow selfishness and expectation into a relationship and expect to reap something great. Wait, when you get to the Bible, I'm glad you asked. There's one verse, change your life. Jesus gave us this. He said, I give you a new command. What's the word? Love one another. How? Just as I have loved you, you're also to love one another. Jesus didn't say to you, clean up your life, act a certain way, dress a certain way, look a certain way, treat me a certain way, and then I'll love you. When we were at our worst, Jesus left heaven, came to earth, was crucified, buried, and rose again for you. To save you, to sanctify you, to justify you, to redeem you, to keep you. And I fail him every day, and he never stops. And he says, you take that sort of committed, never-ending, never-stopping love, and you pour it into others. The reason why Kim and I's marriage struggles at times is because I'm placing expectations on her. And then I've said to her in the past, we're not happy because you're not acting right. That's wrong. The problems begin with me. The problems begin with you. Love others as I have loved you. And love, listen, it is a commandment and not an emotion. You ever had your mom or someone say, wipe that look off your face? You ever heard that? Because it's hard to change your emotions. I can't look at you right now and say, be sad. I can't just command your emotions. So we don't always feel a certain way. That's why love isn't based on how I feel. Love is based on a commandment that Jesus gave me and said, do this because I've already done it. And I will empower you, equip you to do what I've called you to do. It's not an emotion. So I don't have to feel like it to live it. I don't have to want to do it. Love is a commandment. Love is also an action. It is a verb. See, when love is a feeling, my marriage is in trouble because all of a sudden I don't like the way they make me feel. So it's an action, it's a choice, it's a decision. It's a choice. And I don't know about you, but we have 3 kids. And I love them like crazy. Love all my kids. Even when they were little and they roll up in the bedroom at 2 a.m. You know what I'm talking about? You ever felt like you just want to rebuke the evil spirit at 2 a.m.? Get out! And I remember with our first, waking up in the middle of the night, and I would always pretend like I was sleeping. You do that too? Maybe she'll get it. You know what she's doing? Maybe he'll get it. And I remember, all right, I'll go get it. And I would go into the room. I didn't want to get up, and I didn't want to be there, and I didn't want to have to change a dirty diaper. No one at 2 a.m. goes, ew, duty, this is awesome. Nobody does that. Nobody wants to do that. I didn't have drive. I didn't have excitement to be in that moment, but I loved that child. So I did what it took in that moment to do it. And here's the problem. Some of you love your kids more than you love your spouse. And you give more to them than you do to the one that you have become one flesh with. You've stopped trying. There's a story of a lady, it's about 15, 20 years into marriage, true story, she's done, just done. First 3 or 4 years were great, last 15 years, horrible. She couldn't carry the box anymore, she was worn out, and she went to a lawyer, draw up papers, and she wanted to go after him. Like she just wanted to hurt him on the way out. She had so many scars, she wanted to give him at least one. She didn't know, but the lawyer was a Christian man. And he said, you really want to hurt him? I do. You really do? Okay, here's what we do. Let's put the papers aside. He put them in a drawer. He said, go back for 90 days. I just want you to love him, true story, like he couldn't even imagine being loved. Like just dream up ways to love him for 90 days. Just blow his mind for 90 days. And then come back, sign the papers, take him to him. That'll get him. That'll get him. So she left. Said, that's my plan. And for 90 days, she loved like crazy. 90 days. She came back. Papers were on the table, pen right there. Ma'am, just sign right here. She said, no. I don't want to sign. Something's going on. I'm going to give it another 90 days. See, I don't know. So I'm not ready to sign. I'll give it another 90 days. She never came back. Some of you have stopped trying because you don't feel it. But emotion follows motion. You start doing the right things, you start feeling the things you desire. Emotion follows motion. And all it takes is one person to say, I'm not giving up and I'm going to keep loving you. It takes one person to say, I'm not giving up, I'm going to keep loving you. God will meet you in the dark moments. God will dry your tears. God will strengthen you. God will provide for you. God is a healer and a redeemer. You love like he loved, and he will not fail you. Get connected here. Get in a group. Join a men's ministry. Join a women's ministry. Start serving. Give us a year to come alongside you. help you be the person you need to be, because you can read this book every day of your life, and it will not tell you how to find the right person. But you can begin in Genesis and go all the way to Revelation, and it will, page after page, transform you and tell you how to be the right person. The call to action today is pretty simple. It's to do what Jesus said. To love others just like he loved you. Who in your life have you stopped loving? What relationship have you given up on? This week, go into that space, regardless of how you feel, regardless of their response, and love. See what Jesus can do. And so, God, we ask for your goodness, your grace, and your power. Help us to love others in the way you have loved us. And so what we want to do is give you some space. My voice shouldn't be the only one that you hear today. You need to listen to your Creator. And so we're going to give you 90 seconds. Interact with your Creator. Maybe you need to ask for forgiveness. Maybe you need to ask Him for power. Maybe you need to ask Him for the one act of love that you can begin to do on repeat for the person in your life that God reveals to you. But just take a minute, bow your head, close your eyes, and make this space around you just a holy space.